Y'all bear with me now. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Demarcus Keeane. I'm here this morning to share with you what being a YBL graduate has meant to me in my life. I've always felt blessed to be a part of the YBL family, but it wasn't until I began writing this speech that I realized just how instrumental of a role they played in making me the man I am today. To give you a little background into who I am, I have to start from the beginning. I was born in Louisville to a single-teen mother. I was the firstborn of 9 siblings. My mother, at the age of 17, had been struggling with alcohol and drug addiction, which caused me to be removed from my home. So for the first few years of my life, I lived with my grandparents, who were already raising 13 children of their own. At the age of 5, my siblings and I went to live back with my mother, who was still battling her addiction. I remember being 7 years old, having to be a parent to my siblings, doing laundry, creating meals from nothing, and making sure that they got off to school. I looked around at the neighborhood kids outside thinking, man, I just wanted to go outside and play too. I wanted to be a kid. Since I couldn't, I fell into a depression that made me feel like there was no escape and I was trapped. At the age of 12, my siblings and I were placed back with my grandparents because of my mother's addiction. With my grandparents playing the caregiver role, I finally had time to go out and be. But by that time, I was behind the curve. All I was good at was basketball and felt even more alone and trapped. So I started coping with my depression by smoking weed. I spent most of my time playing basketball and smoking weed. By the time I got to high school, I had no self-esteem, and looking at my life made me wonder why I even tried, so I didn't. By the age of 16, my school asked me to leave because I had a 0% grade point average. After my grandmother found out how I had flunked out, she put me out the house. The next 5 years was an endless cycle of smoking weed, drinking, crashing on different couches, and 2 stays at Job Corps where I earned my GED. But soon after, I was right back to the same old thing. Weed, playing basketball and going to minimum wage jobs just to barely make it. Until one fateful day in 2001, I was 20 years old. I was playing basketball at Old Mill at the Lions program, and I met a man named Mr. Rod. He started talking to me and told me about a new program called YBL, and that I would be a good candidate to be in their first class. I was always good with my hands, and that program sounded like I could succeed in. Plus, you earned a little money while participating in the program, so why not give it a try? I applied, and I was accepted in, and I was so glad I did. I found something I never had before, a place to go every day where everyone actually listened to me and value my opinion and voice. That was a whole new experience for me, and it felt great. They made me feel like I mattered. They made me feel like I mattered and encouraged me to do better every day. YBL was my own personal cheerleading squad. Any idea I had, they talked through it with me and always encouraged me to just try. Not only did YBL help me emotionally, they helped me with securing an apartment, getting transportation, and to organize my life. Any hurdle I faced, they were there to help me overcome it. I was no longer alone. As happy as I was to have something in my life that I've been missing, I also felt guilty and undeserving. I was still smoking weed. I knew I was letting the staff down and I didn't want to lose everything because of my smoking, but I just didn't know how to stop. It was around this time my cousin, who was my best friend, was murdered. That was it for me. I slid back into a hopeless depression and ended up just walking away from everything that was going so well in my life, including Youth Bill. I was back to my cycle. It was during this time that my mother, who I hadn't seen in years, tracked me down and asked me to visit her. She was living at Wayside Christian Mission and was enrolled in the rehab program. I could barely recognize my mother. I had never seen her sober and full of life. She was totally transformed. I told her about losing everything, and she offered me to come live with her. I accepted immediately. I wanted to finally get to know my mother. Following her example, I enrolled in the rehab program and got clean and sober. Yeah, that's right. I graduated from the program a year later and knew exactly what I wanted to do. I walked out of Wayside and into Youth Bill. I talked with Miss Lynn, and it was one of those talks that would change your life. I apologized for my behavior 3 years earlier when I disappeared and tried to make amends with the family that was always there for me. They listened and could tell that I was remorseful. They were willing to give me another chance. I could join the current Youth Bill class. By that time, I was 24 years old, and this was the last chance to complete the Youth Bill program. Being clean and sober made me see clearer, and I felt stronger and more focused. During this year, I made a goal, and I followed through with it. I graduated Youth Bill with the class of 2005. I was even given the top honor award at the graduation ceremony. Then and now, Youth Bill has given me the strength I needed when I didn't have enough of my own. I now had integrity, confidence, and was hopeful for my future. Youth Bill taught me that I could actually trust someone and they would be there for me unconditionally. I have made lifelong friends with my classmates. Even until this day, we are still there for one another. Miss Lynn and Youth Bill have been a part of my family. When I married my high school sweetheart, and even at the birth of our children, they were there. They have helped me make connections in my career with opportunities for advancement in building maintenance with Winterwood Property Management. Youth Bill has also given me an office space to broadcast my podcast called Father First, King Second, where we lead discussions on the importance of fatherhood. As you can see, Youth Bill is a part of me. They redefine my definition of family. They fill the void in me that I didn't even realize existed. I honestly don't know where I would be without Youth Bill, support and unconditional love. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them from the bottom of my heart, Miss Lynn, and everybody. Sorry, I lost my spot. I'd like to thank them from the bottom of my heart for seeing me and hearing me and showing me a better version of myself. You showed me that I mattered and that I have a purpose when no one had ever showed me that before. Thank you for helping me turn my dreams into a reality. I also like to take the time to thank everyone here today for caring and taking the time to learn about Youth Bill. Youth Bill changed my life, and it built the man standing here today. I am forever grateful and so proud to be a part of this family. Thank you.